Thank you for joining us here. Ruben has a unique background, lost 100 pounds, and was an office worker for many years. So he's actually going to give you a routine if you work from an office, although I think it'll be good for anyone. Can't wait to see this.
Let's do it. So I started training ATG because I had mild runner's knee pain. I was running to get in shape for a fight. But what I didn't expect, it really helped my knees, and that's why I decided to keep going with it. What I didn't expect was that it would actually help me to cure my lower back pain. I was working in an office from 2017 to 2021 and just constantly sitting all the time, right? So now I realize that was part of what was causing my lower back pain. My body was getting tight, and that in combination with not strength training led to my muscles getting weak and being less protected. Now, if you are someone who sits for over 6 hours a day, the best thing that you can do to improve your health and your overall body and to reverse out the effects of sitting is to find an activity that you enjoy, right? Because you're much more likely to trust the process if you're doing something that you enjoy and it brings you excitement. But if you're a busy man or woman, you have to take care of your kids, you have to take care of your business. So you're going to get the best. You want to do the thing that you're going to get the best for your short amount of time that you have to invest in this, right? So this is why I want to take you guys through a counter sitting ATG flow. That if you do 2 to 3 times a week, there's no one exercise that's going to help you reverse out the effects of sitting. Everything varies per person. But if you do this flow right here 2 to 3 times a week, it's going to go a long way towards helping you reverse out those effects of sitting and restore your natural movement ability. So the first thing we're going to start with is the ATG split squat. So when I first started doing this exercise, my form was absolutely terrible. Like I was basically hinging forward, my back leg was drooping like this, and it was causing me a little bit of hip pain. So what I realized now in hindsight is that was because I was sitting all the time, right? So sitting, our body gets used to this position. It's very causes an effect that tightens up your hips, right? So this exercise is basically the reverse of sitting. And if you focus on the proper form with it, you can literally strengthen and lengthen those hip flexors, thus reversing out the effects that sitting actually has on this and your posture, right? So we're gonna focus on having a 5-second hold at the bottom here, really focusing on straightening this back leg, lengthening the hip flexors, and lengthening the quads. So proper form on this is keeping your chest up, covering the hamstring over the calf, and squeezing this back quad to keep this leg as straight as possible. Most people I coach end up having to start at around 12 inches of elevation, more or less. And I find that this is very approachable because having something like this allows you to then use assistance for your upper body to take some weight off of the knee. And the elevation allows you to then start even if you're really tight. So this is great for that. You can then progress to doing it unassisted once you're stronger here. So now you can do it unassisted. And then once you've mastered the form at a certain height, you can then lower the elevation. And technically you could start loading this at any point once you're past unassisted. And you'll know if you're using too much weight because you'll have to kind of hinge forward in order to come up. That hinge forward is trying to take away the tension that's on your quad. And eventually working down to a flat ground split squat with load is the goal. The amount of load varies on your goals, but really at any age, being able to do a proper flat ground split squat is a great sign. This means that you have long and strong hip flexors and strong knees in order to be able to do this, right? And you could technically get started on this even between breaks at work by using a chair, right? The chair elevates the front foot, and then you can use the armrest as upper body assistance. So it's accessible for anybody. And I think that in combination with the next move that I'm going to show you guys is perfect for doing, taking little micro doses of exercise while at work. But before that, I just want to state, I see a lot of people struggle with balance on this exercise. And a lot of the time it's because they're kind of having their feet like this in a tightrope, right? So this is a lot harder to balance. So the cue I always give is to think about train tracks, right? Almost like train tracks at your shoulder width. Stand here, then bring that foot back, and that's going to allow you to have better balance in this position. So the other exercise that I chose, and I put these two together for a reason I'm going to tell you right after we're done here. But the next one is the seated good morning. So with intention on keeping the back extended throughout the movement. So this exercise, you can technically start at a chair right here. You want your heels in front of your knees. So knees behind toes on this one. Keep the back straight like this. You can either put your hands on your back or you can act like you're holding dumbbells here. Shoulders back and down, and then keeping the back straight, you're gonna hinge forward at the waist and then come back up. So that is a seated good morning. You can technically start loading this with dumbbells or anything heavy. And then over time, progress to doing that with a bar on your back. So one of the things that happens when we sit is all these inner thigh muscles will start to tighten up. Because if you think about it, when you're sitting down, you're like this, right? So your body gets used to being in this position. But then you're doing this to open all of this up, keeping the back hinged, touching down, coming back up. So you can see how it's beneficial for opening up all these muscles in the anterior hip. They get really tight from prolonged amounts of sitting, right? The problem with a lot of people see with this exercise is when they start going down, their back starts to round, right? That just means that the groin, the inner hamstring, these muscles aren't quite long enough to allow the back to maintain extended throughout the full range of motion. So what you can do is, if you have an incline bench, or really any object that you can set a target for your belly button to touch before coming up, it helps a lot so that it's more measurable to do this. So here, and then you can judge the amount of progress as you get lower and lower with the goal of being able to do this on a flat bench. You're just trying to kiss that belly button to the bench and then come back up. So the reason I put these two together first is because together, I mean, if you look at the exercises, you're doing a squat on one leg, and then the second part of the squat is a hip extension here. So when you put these two together, it's helping you restore your natural ability to sit in a resting deep squat, which is an ability that a lot of us have lost as adults simply because we don't use it anymore because chairs are so darn comfortable. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just something that we've been able to do for thousands of years, but we lost the ability to do. So these two are a great way to restore it. There are many benefits to being able to sit in a resting deep squat. So now we're going to train the front of the lower spine using the L-sit. So L-sit is a move that comes from calisthenics. The thing I love about it is you can actually get started without any equipment at all. So hands here, the further you lean forward, the harder this is going to be. So you can lean back and start easier. You're going to set a 1 minute timer and then alternate switching legs. So 1 to 2 seconds per leg. The further forward you are, the harder this is going to be and the more you're going to feel it in your abs and hip flexors. These muscles right here in front of the lower back actually help support a lot of lower back functions such as flexing your spine. So when you get strong here, these are also the muscles that pick up your legs. So here, and then the goal is to be able to do this for 20 seconds. I find that using parallettes helps a lot. It's a little bit more comfortable. And then again, the goal is being able to do this, hold it for about 20 seconds, but anybody can start with a 1 minute timer and then alternating between legs. So stretching the hip flexors is only part of the equation, right? To get these, you also have to get these stronger to improve their ability here. And I would say these three were the ones that really helped my hips. We're going to go into some more stretches afterwards, but we're continuing to go from the ground up. Now we're going to go into the upper body. So the pullover is basically the complete opposite of a slouch position. When we sit, we all take kind of this rounded about position because everything that we use is right in front of us, right? We sit at the TV, we sit on our phones, we sit to type on the computer, and it just causes this to happen, right? So this exercise is pretty much the complete opposite of that motion for the upper body. Doing the pullover, you can actually start with just a wall. So even if you don't have equipment, using a wall here, hands against the wall. Bring the butt back, push your chest through your hands. And here you can start doing these little pulses. Think about pulling the wall down. It's gonna help strengthen your lats, opens up the chest and the diaphragm to help you breathe better. It's a great exercise. Putting your hands together makes the stretch deeper, and then bringing your legs back adds a little bit more intensity into this exercise. So pull over is the start of our new superset. So let's go back over this way. So we had these 3 here for the hips, 3 sets of each exercise, and then we're gonna go into our next superset, which is gonna be pullover, power raise, and neck bridge. So we just saw the pullover with the wall. If you are at the gym, you can actually progress this even more using an incline bench or a flat bench for that matter. You're gonna grab the dumbbell like a triangle. So make a triangle with your hands like this, and then the dumbbell goes right there. You're gonna try to control the weight down. Keeping your arms straight gives you a deeper stretch in the chest and the lats. Then bring it up. So slow on the way down, getting that deep stretch, and then pulling up with your lats and using your chest. Now, if you want more stretch, you can actually do this across the bench. Same form, work to keep the hips down. That gives you a deeper stretch in that. Breathe, stretch, and then bring it up. Really good for improving your shoulder mobility, opening up this entire side of the body, and then also improving your posture. And ideally, optimally, what they used to use in the older days, back when back pain was less common, people used to use rounded benches for this exact exercise because you're able to get better stretch on the spine. So here, again, keeping the hips down, letting the weight pull you down into the stretch, rounding, and then bringing it back up. This ATG back bench was designed for that. It's not a new invention. It's something that's been around since probably the 1800s, but you don't see those very commonly in gyms anymore. So pullovers, now we're gonna go into the power raises. So we've stretched the front of the body, now we're gonna strengthen the back of the body, the muscles in between the shoulders using the power raise. So my favorite way to do this exercise, take a bench using 30 degrees here, 30 degrees of inclination. You're gonna hug the bench with your non-working arm, like so. This leg locks in to the bench, other leg's just back. Keeping the arm in front of the chest, so like upper chest, above it, not below. And you're gonna go straight up, and then you're gonna control the weight down. Aiming to do this for about 5 seconds. A lot of people call this the Nordic of the shoulder. This is very tendon dominant movement. You're fighting the way down and then squeezing the muscles in the middle of the shoulder on the way up. So that's one way to do it. If you only have access to a flat bench, you can also do it this way. You're gonna act like you're laying down, hook this foot, the one on the non-working hand, to the bench, and then this foot's just kind of laying here. Again, pick to a bit heavier weight on this one, and then fight down. So that's another option for the power raise. And if you don't have, this is kind of a hard one to do without any equipment, but using a resistance band, buying a resistance band is maybe like $20. So I'm gonna show you how to do that. Great alternative to this one, still working the muscles between the shoulders, is using a resistance band and then doing banded pull aparts. So hands facing up, arms straight. You're gonna pull it apart using those muscles, keeping the shoulders straight, the arms straight, using the muscles in between the shoulders, just like this. So that's one way you could do this at the office with minimal equipment. And then we're gonna go to finish off the exercise to help you with your posture and reversing these effects of sitting, we're gonna now do neck bridges, right? So you wanna strengthen your neck as well as all these muscles that help your posture. Because I mean, if you think about it, this is one of the muscles that holds up your posture, and the neck is what's attached to one of the most important organs of the body, the brain. So we want to get this strong. We're constantly looking down on our phones, constantly typing on the computers, and let's be honest, we need these devices to like improve our productivity. So we want to be able to do that for as long as possible without any neck pain. And you got to strengthen that neck as well. So one easy way to get started is put a pad on the wall. So the further your feet are, the harder it is going to be. Closer is easier. And then from here, you're going to do a bridge completely straight from head to toe here, holding this position for about 8 seconds. We're going to do 3 sets of 3 reps. Each rep is a 8 to 10 second hold. So again, further out is harder. Holding this. And a cue I really like to give my clients is to think about putting the tongue on the roof of their mouth like this. It's called mewing. That's going to help you tense up the muscles in the neck so you have more strength in this exercise. To progress this exercise, you could use, if you're in the gym, you can use an incline bench and start working towards flat bench. So here, it's about 45-degree incline. You see how this is a little bit harder than what we're using on the wall. And then you can continue, as you get stronger, you can continue to lower the incline to make this even harder until you're able to do this on a flat bench. Now, somebody who's able to do this on a flat bench has considerably more neck strength than somebody who's able to do it there. And the goal here is being able to do flat bench for 3 sets of 3 reps of 8 second holds. So we've worked from the ground up, went for the front of the hips, then the hip extensors, the back of the hips with the see you good morning. Then we did strengthen those hip flexors again. Opened up the chest with a pullover, strengthen the muscles between the shoulders with the power raise or banded pull aparts. And we just strengthened the neck. So all these are helping our posture. Now we're gonna finish out with some stretches. These are gonna be 2 sets only. That gets you plenty of adaptation. So the first one is the couch stretch. I wanna show you guys how you can, it's aptly named the couch stretch because you can technically do this on your couch, right? You basically just lay a mat down. I like to start on the knees, then windshield wiper over the leg like this, and then bring the other leg out in front of you, almost like in a half lunge position. And then here you're gonna slowly work your glute towards your heel, keeping the shoulders up. And that is the couch stretch. Now, you see I'm doing this with just a chair, but there are more comfortable ways to do it. Because I know this looks like a really uncomfortable position. For me, honestly, it was at first. And I didn't know this when I first started, but I use this now with clients, which is that you can take an incline bench and you can make this a lot easier by reducing the amount of incline on it. So you see here, I've had people start here like 30 degrees and they're still getting a really gnarly stretch right here. We're lengthening the hip flexors, lengthening the rectus femoris, which is connected to the quad that connects to the hip flexors. And overall, it's just a great stretch, not only for posture, it allows you to posture up, but also for knee health. And you can actually increase that difficulty just by increasing the incline here. This is a lot more stretch. And once somebody's able to do it here, once somebody's able to do it at like 80, 90 degrees, it's gonna be a lot easier to be able to do this on your couch. Having something like the HEG knee mat makes this a lot easier too, because there's a lot of padding here. So people that have knees are a little bit too sensitive to do this on the ground, this is a great solution. And then I don't think this is out on the market quite yet, but here you can very easily put the heel up and then use these as assistance to get deeper into that stretch. And the goal here is to be able to do this flat against the wall, getting your shoulders all the way back as far as your ankle and glute are. Just breathing through this for about 60 seconds and doing this 2 to 3 times a week is great for lengthening out those hip flexors. And I can't understate how much that helped me on my journey to getting out of back pain and becoming more athletic. So one thing I didn't expect with HEG was that I would actually get more athletic. I thought it was just a rehab exercise system, but it also tends to jack up sports performance. So by the time I got in the ring, man, I felt so much more confident and so ready to like take on anybody, because I knew my opponent wasn't doing the exact same thing. So it's a great confidence booster if you're a rec athlete, an athlete, or even if you're just a businessman or woman who wants to get the best bang for your buck in exercise. Not only does it help you get out of pain, but it also helps you jack up performance. So next we're gonna go into the pancake stretch. This is one of my favorite stretches. And similar to the seated good morning, this allows us to double up on all the things that get tight when we're sitting, right? The inner hip flexor regions. So the groin, the inner hamstrings, really helps to open that up. So starting off on this, you can actually just do it without any equipment, right? Standing. So bring your feet a little bit further and shoulder width apart. And the progression is from your hands, being able to touch down to the ground with your hands, to then doing it with your elbows. And actually, the wider your feet goes, the deeper the stretch is going to be. So elbows to then eventually being able to touch your head to the ground is the goal on this one. And if you want to continue progressing your ability here, if you want a little bit more stretch, you can actually use a cable to load the stretch, bring you into deeper ranges of motion. So here, it's okay to allow the spine to bend, but the ultimate goal is getting chest to floor with the back extended. So this is another great one for doubling up on the inner hamstring and the groin. We doubled up on the hip flexors with the couch stretch and the HEG split squat. We doubled up on the inner groin and hamstrings with the pancake and the seated good morning. And one that we've kind of left untouched, and this is why this is the last one we're going to do. It's also a really, really great stretch for getting out of back pain, sciatica nerve pain, something that I've gone through and that I find that a lot of people that work in an office have, because when you're constantly sitting, this muscle called the piriformis muscle, it's a pear-shaped muscle right around this glute region right here in between, and it gets really tight. What happens is it's right next to your sciatic nerve, and oftentimes if it's too tight, it can actually rub up against it and cause some of that sciatic nerve pain. So a great way to stretch that muscle, these are called pigeon push-ups or piriformis push-ups. I'm actually going to start on the ground just to show you how you can do this right from your office. You're going to sit in a 90-90 position, one hand on each side of the leg, and you're trying to hinge forward, trying to touch your head to your foot. Now you might think, wow, I don't think I can do that. And that's why I'm going to show you regressions for it. But even on the ground, even if you just go here, you're going to get a pretty deep stretch in the glutes, in the hips, and the piriformis. So this is all the outside of the hip. And the goal is to be able to get your forehead to your foot and ultimately your chest to your foot. I'm not quite there on that one. But the cool thing about this one is you can regress it by using a bench, right? An incline bench is great because I've had people that can't do it on the ground, but they can actually get into it using this. So if you can start at 45 degrees. Again, hands on each side. This leg is back on his toe, almost like in the HEG split squat. And you're gently coming down. Once you're able to reach head to foot at one level of elevation, you can lower it and you'll get an even deeper stretch here. And then ultimately the goal is flat bench, at which point you'll be able to do it on the ground. And you can progress this from assisted to one hand to then doing it unassisted. And I've actually seen people that are able to do this with added load, which is really impressive. So you're not only are you stretching the glutes, you're also strengthening them from that stress position. So it makes it much harder for you to get hurt. It makes you more protected in sport and just everyday life, right? Like there's so many things that we do that you never think that you could get hurt doing, right? Rolling or playing around with your kids, getting in a squat. And improving your mobility is an amazing way to do it. I think, in my opinion, the stretch strength that ATG brings to the table is one of the best ways to improve your movement and longevity. Ben's mom is a great example. She's a 70-year-old who's now able to sprint. I have a few clients in their 70s who are having great results with this. You know, playing tennis 2 or 3 times a week. They're feeling better than ever. And when they came to me, they couldn't even lift up their shoulders. So there's a lot to be said about this. So I want to say thank you to you guys for walking through that workout with me. I hope it can be useful to you and that it helps you improve your mobility. Please reach out if you have any questions. But before you go, I did want to show you this one exercise that is probably the best bang for your buck when it comes to saving time. You may not have a ton, access to it, and it's definitely not one you can do without equipment, although there are ways that you can mimic it. But the sled, again, it's one of the best things you can do for getting the most out of your training within the least amount of time. So this is really helpful for burning fat. It's great for getting a world-class cardio challenge in. It depends on how hard you push yourself. It's also great for building muscle, getting stronger. Because one of the most simple terms of breaking down how you get stronger is to just move a lot of weight, right? This way you can move a lot of weight, but if it's too much weight, you simply cannot move it. The weight's not moving you, you're moving the weight. So it's one really great because you can use it for recovery and you can use it for rehab because you're strengthening the body from the ground up without putting too much stress on the joints. So for me personally, this is one of my favorite things to do for cardio before or afterwards. And it takes a lot of hard work and effort. And the best part is it has minimal impediment to recovery because again, the weight's not moving you, so there is no eccentric phase, only concentric. So push it as hard as you like. I definitely recommend the sled as one of the best bang for your buck exercises, and I think it can be great for anybody who's looking to get the most out of their workout and doesn't have a ton of time. Very few people are combining strength and flexibility in their training in harmony, right? They usually separate it. But the awesome part about this is it has great benefits, can help you improve your mobility, reduce risk of injury. All of this so you can go back to doing what you love without pain. I'm kind of gassed after that. That's how good the sled is. I did like 3 trips and I'm already out of breath. Yeah, so if you sit for long periods of time, you have to do the maintenance to keep your body working properly. So why not do it in a way that's gonna help you strengthen your joints, it's gonna help you improve your mobility, and it strengthens your connective tissue so you can keep doing all of this for a longer amount of time. It has a longer lasting effect. So now that you know this exercise flow, the only thing left to do is for you to put in the work. You can do this flow 2 to 3 times a week for best results with mobility, or feel free to include these exercises in your strength training and cardio routines. For form checks and 24/7 support, check out ATG Online Coaching or follow the ATG exercise page. If you want someone to hold you accountable and help you crush all the obstacles to your goals, then book a call with me at the link in the description.